football, and Gabon have been chosen to host the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations finals. The 2012 co-hosts won the vote by the Confederation of African Football's Executive Committee in Cairo on Wednesday, ahead of Algeria and Ghana. It will be the second time as host for the country, having previously shared duties with Equatorial Guinea.
We have a good presentation, and in our country we have made some efforts in order to improve all the stadiums, hospitals, media, and it is we are now becoming more developed than in the last CAN.
That's General Secretary of the Gabonese Football Federation, Felix Jean Imba, in there. Now, Gabon will use 4 venues for the 16-team tournament. Will be played in January and February. They will be in Libreville, Franceville, which we used in 2012, plus Port Gentil and Onyem, where the stadiums will be ready in 14 months. Meanwhile, Ghana's bid team were left licking their wounds, and member of the team, Randy Abe, alleges underhand dealings. He made the serious allegations speaking to Joy Sports minutes after the announcement.
We would like to congratulate Gabon for being declared a winner, but there was something, and I'm sure that in the coming hours or days you would hear, especially from the Algerians, the way the voting for this one was conducted. I mean, even the executive committee members who cast their vote did not know of the result of the vote. Only 2 of them were called to look, if I had to look at what the votes were, and they were all ushered into the conference room where everybody, the media and the other 3 countries were. And the president of CAF just took out a paper that read Gabon and said that Gabon had won. What the votes were, the 14 members of the executive committee who voted by the rules, an outright winner must have majority of the votes, in this case a minimum of 8. And the last time Ghana won, it was 9-3. Ghana got 9 votes against 3 of our closest competitor. Sorry. In this case, I mean, we didn't know who got what.
CAF conducted the draw for the qualifiers, which included Morocco and Tunisia. Morocco had been banned from taking part in the next 2 editions of the tournament after they did not host the 2015 event, but were reinstated after winning the appeal to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. Tunisia avoided the ban after apologizing to CAF for accusing the governing body of bias. The Black Stars drew Mozambique, Rwanda and Mauritius and Group H.
The draw for the qualifiers for the 2017 Nations Cup, and there were some interesting groups in there, not least of all Gabon's themselves, because for the first time ever in the African Nations Cup history, the hosts are going to be competing in the qualifiers. Gabon have been drawn in the same group as the reigning African champions Ivory Coast and also Sierra Leone, I should say. Their results aren't actually going to count for anything, though. They're just going to be friendlies. So it's a 3-team group effectively, and obviously Ivory Coast are looking good to make it through as the reigning African champions and the top seeds in today's draw. On to the next group, Group G. What about that? Nigeria, 3-time African champions, taking on Egypt, the record 7-time Nations Cup winners, but they've not made it to a Nations Cup since winning their last title in 2010. Tanzania and Chad also in the group. And finally, let's look at Group M. Cameroon up against South Africa. Both teams made it to this year's Nations Cup in Equatorial Guinea. The good news for them, though, is that if they don't top the group, they will go through as one of the 2 best runners-up. So it's the top 13 group winners who all go through, in addition to the 2 best-placed runners-up. Qualifying starts in June, Sophie. So
We'll look ahead to what the Black Stars do just before I step out. Hearts are through to the round of 16 of the MTN FA Cup competition after beating Bolga Man City 3-0 on Wednesday. Strikes from Eric Kumi, Fovia Gule from the Sport and Sean October ensured the victory for the Phobians. Head coach Hebedado was impressed with his charges, but has fingered the media for negative reportage on his team's progress. Stadium and how that happened. Accra Hearts sailing into it. Tomorrow we'll find out what Kumasi Asante Kotoko do against Barima FC in the MTN FA Cup round of 32 games. So Hearts have sailed into the round of 16. That'll be all for sports tonight. I'm George Adder Jr. Aisha will join us with some more. You have a good night.
The sports segment was brought to you.
Let's do some sports. Ghana's bid to host the CAN 2017 tournament has been dashed as Gabon gets the nod to host the Continental Fiesta. But in this doomsday era and economic challenges, we ask if Ghana is ready to host any major sporting event. Had we won the bid? Let's gauge public opinion.
We're ever ready to host any sports tournament because every country is facing some economic challenges. So the mere fact we are facing some economic challenges doesn't guarantee us not hosting an AFCON, because we have many developed countries who are facing economic challenges, but they are still hosting. And government of Ghana have allocated some resources and funds to different ministries and agency, because we have, like, for example, Ministry of Sport, Ministry of Youth and Sports. They have their own budget, so they decide whether we can host or not to host an AFCON and a sports activity. So the economic challenges we are facing doesn't mean we can't host, let me say, a sports activity. We can host.
I don't think it's even advisable, because as I speak with you now, we can't even meet our statutory obligations like paying health insurance, municipal assemblies and other staffs. So it's not even advisable to do that at the moment, because Ghana, we are not in good condition. Things are not working well. It's not a good venture. It's not a good venture to do. It's not a good venture.
We are ever ready to host a sports tournament, because when we have been awarded as a host, it gives us the opportunity. Let's say it throws a challenge to us to put up adequate measures so that to put a solution, a lasting solution to that current power situations.
So that's where we draw